Welcome back, everybody, to Welcome to Prime Time. I'm your host, Hunter Chambers. I'm joined by my co-hosts, Chad and Kerri. How's it going, guys?
Hi.
Hey, it's going great. Oh, it is Oscar night. I'm very excited. But first, we get to talk about some horror. We get to talk about some Buffy. We're going to have a blast. I got me a Blue Moon. Carrie's not drinking
I've
right
got
this second.
me a water because I drank too much earlier.
I got me a classic lime margarita. So,
Mmm. Strong, isn't it?
when you chugging it is. So yes, guys, today we are talking about Buffy the Vampire Slayer season 1, which I just finished. So what we're going to do is we're going to rank all 12 episodes of Buffy the Vampire Slayer season 1. We have a tier ranking from S to C, and then pretty much we nominate an episode. We tell why and where we want to put it, and then we all have to agree majority rules. So 2 out of 3 of us will have to say yes to put it on the tier list. You guys understand?
Yeah.
Well, I think every episode will go on the tier list, just in differing levels.
What level it goes?
Yes.
So, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
We'll talk about
different levels.
correct. Yeah.
But first, we do have two pieces of movie news. We will start with this one. Ty West reveals details about the X prequel known as Pearl. So, guys, I did watch X last night at the theaters. Just a quick non-spoiler review. I absolutely loved it. Might be one of my favorite A24 horror films. And as I told Chad and Kerri in the chat, this is the best Texas Chainsaw sequel that we never knew we needed. So, um, so this is from where is it? Bleedingcool.com that says from the director, you can't make a slasher movie without a bunch of sequels. I came out of quarantine and I was like, I'm ready to build all this stuff. It's COVID, and we're on the one place on earth where it's safe to make a movie. We have the whole crew who's on break, so we should make two movies. So pretty much they made both of these back to back. They filmed X and and they're going to film Pearl back to back.
Oh, that's
Oh, that's
Um,
awesome.
really cool.
so because they had all the crew there to begin with.
Mhm.
Now we're still not sure who's going to come back, if anybody's going to come back from it. Um,
Yeah,
but
no,
the idea of setting
it's prequel now.
a prequel kind of like more world to this movie sounds very interesting and something that like a Texas Chainsaw would do, which is kind of very intriguing to me, guys.
Yeah, I mean that's actually a really cool idea. We've seen like especially with stuff like John Wick and like other things, where you can actually or especially in horror like The Conjuring, like you build like this world of like central characters and you can, actually make like a franchise out of something. And it's really cool when you can do that, especially with horror, because like I'm pretty sure some people die in X. I've heard things, not specifically, but I've heard it gets pretty gruesome and gory at times. So it's cool to like make you like maybe fall in love with some characters or not. I don't know, but then go into a prequel and see like how they got there, stuff like that. But yeah, neither of us, Carrie or I, have seen X yet. We just haven't gotten around to the theater because it's only in theaters. And but we're pretty excited. We might have to make a trip out very soon in the near future and check that one out.
It's kind of crazy because we moved closer to our theater and we've gone, I feel like, significantly less since we moved, but we've been super busy.
Very
So,
busy recently,
but
especially with Oscar season coming up. I've been trying to watch a lot of those movies too.
Yeah.
okay. I'm really excited about this one. I'm excited to see it, and I'm excited to hear that they've actually like filmed or set to film the prequel. For some reason, I thought it was just like a random like, Ty West mentioned it in an interview, but it sounds like this is like actually going to come out fairly soon. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah. So speaking of movies coming out sooner than we expected, Scream 6. That that tie-in, gotta love it. Scream 6 got announced by Paramount and has dated the Scream sequel for March 31st, 2023. So pretty much in a few days, 1 year from. So in about 3 days, it'll be 1 year. So that's very quick, but it says here from Deadline, the reboot of Scream, which opened over MLK weekend, has taken in over $140 million at the global box office. Paramount and Spyglass promptly greenlit a sequel with the whole creative game returning, including directors Matt Bernelli Oakland and Tyler Gillette, James Vanderbilt, and Guy Burek co-writing the screenplay, and Project X Entertainment Vanderbilt, and Kevin Williamson and Chad Vela producing the film as well. So yes, March 31st, 2023 is the release of Scream 6. I am super excited for this, guys.
That sounds very, very exciting because Scream 5 had a really great turnout and a lot of people, like a really great reception. And because you're keeping like pretty much the same creative team, they can take this and they actually supplanted themselves to have something like where you can take it a little bit away from the legacy characters and make more of a new modern Scream story. And I think that's very exciting.
Yeah, we'll see how much they take it away from the legacy characters, though, because I think and this is a potential spoiler for Scream
Spoiler
6.
alert for Scream 5, right?
No, for
Yeah.
Scream 6 is one of the people who, well, one of the reasons the story one of the first places I heard about the story was Courtney Cox tweeted that she was going to be starting filming pretty soon, if not already by the time, we're actually recording this. So it seems like Gail Weathers is going to be making another appearance, unless she's just, teasing us.
That's never a bad thing.
That's
never
true.
a bad thing to see Gail Weathers in a
Yeah.
Scream film.
Yeah, very true.
I actually feel like they're going to. Now, maybe this is just me. I can see them using Gail a lot more than they use Sydney going forward. I think her arc is over. I think the way that they ended Sydney's story of her finally, going to spoilers for Scream 5, by the way, going to Stu's old house, defeating the villain, and then be able to go home to her family. I think that's a great closer for that story.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you bring in Gail Weathers, you have one Lacey character to tie in, but you focus on all these brand new characters that we love from Scream 5.
Yeah, with the Carpenters and stuff like that, just all the new characters that are still alive, you can craft a new fun Scream story, and I'm really excited to see if this is like the Scream 2 of the new batch, because I freaking love Scream 2. It's one of my favorite ones. Sometimes it is my favorite.
Hey, it's big praise, but all right, guys. So those are the two news stories. So, are you guys ready to talk some Buffy?
Yeah.
We're never not ready to talk some Buffy. Like if someone just like drops like we're talking Buffy right now, like all right, let's do it. Let's go.
All right, so we have 12 episodes from season 1. Chad, go ahead.
First, Hunter, if you don't mind, I would just kind of like to talk about Buffy in general a little bit.
Okay.
Because Buffy to us is not Buffy to us is very, very special. This is like one of the bedrock foundations of our relationship. And I'm saying that, but it's true.
It's true. It was one of I remember the first time we ever talked on the phone. We were kind of just talking about, as you do, TV shows and movies you like. And I asked Chad what his favorite TV show was. And I remember he paused and he's like, this might sound a little weird, but, my favorite show is Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which was also my favorite show, is still my favorite show. And then I knew from
mine
then.
Too. Yes, we've really bonded over that. It's one of those things like you kind of like Buffy, you find the show and like if you're in like a place where maybe you don't have like that many friends or you just feel kind of alone, it feels like a family. Like the show really makes you feel a part of something. And I just always got I started watching the show after was pretty much like ending. So it's not like I could watch every episode like as it was airing or anything, but I was binging the crap out of this before like Netflix made binging like a whole big thing. I was like watching it on like cable, it coming up, and then like I had to wait to try and go on freaking eBay to try and buy all of the seasons. And because I didn't really know about going to Best Buy and like buying I
Well,
didn't even know if they were available.
I don't. They might not have been available at like Best Buy at that
Yeah.
point. It was kind of buying shows on DVD was kind of a new thing then.
Correct. Yeah. So,
And sorry,
but this
That's
is
fine.
definitely our favorite show of all time, and we're so happy that you're watching it, Hunter, because you get to experience everything for the first time. And
Yep.
we recently, not that long ago, we had like a long kind of like hiatus where we hadn't watched the show in a while, and we rewatched it, fell in love with it again. And you can just do this every time, just fall in love with the show so many times and just go like, oh my God, this is the best show. It has the best like opening intro sequence.
Yes.
Never skip this intro
I
because
haven't skipped it either.
exactly. It's so fun. I love it. I love the characters. And just talking with Hunter, I know he loves the characters. And so, yeah, so now we can, since it seems like we're probably going to talk about the show a lot, we can actually get into talking about season 1 now. Overall, what did you think, Hunter, of season 1?
It was a very strong season to open. A very strong opener season that got me wanting to watch more and more and more, which I love. Um, One thing I love is right off the bat, you can tell that this is Joss Whedon who wrote the script
Mm-hmm.
because it has that quippy like dialogue that Whedon is known for. The first thing I saw Joss Whedon like produce or direct was Firefly. I fell in love with Firefly because of the characters. Now going into Buffy again, I love the show because of the characters. He knows how to write really good characters.
Yes.
One of my favorite characters is Xander. Like
Yes.
that dude is me as a teenager. That was me as a teenager.
So I'll throw in there, and I'll just kind of like put it like a blanket thing. Since we're going to be talking about a lot of Buffy, we will say we know that Joss Whedon isn't the most popular person these days. There's a lot of stuff that come up. We're not going
Which
to.
is why it was kind of hard for me to watch this after a while, but
We're going to say that we don't condone anything about Joss and things that he's done. We know he's hurt people, and we don't want to say that us talking about our love for Buffy means that we condone any of that, but we also don't want to focus on that because Buffy is way more than just one person. Buffy is a lot of creative people that came together and wrote. However, I will say the very, very creative side of Joss really made this show great because Hunter makes a really good point in that Joss's writing and just Joss's overall creative vision really brought this show to be something greater than what it could have been if it would have just stayed the movie, because the movie is not a great movie and the show is like one of the greatest shows ever made. So I love that you love season 1, Hunter, and we also love season 1. A lot of people start season 1, I feel like, and they feel like it's slower. It's not as captivating. But season 1 is a short season. There's only 12 episodes, and it also was under a lot of time and budget constraints. So you can see, like, they were like reusing a lot of shots. They had a very small set to work with. Some of the CGI, like kind of graphics, don't hold up that well. But I think a lot of times that adds to the charm of the show because you go, that doesn't look great at all, but I love it. So that's where we stand. We love season 1 as well, but we love pretty much every episode of Buffy, even the ones we know are flawed, don't really hold up that well. We still love because every second of Buffy is still a second of Buffy. So
yeah, exactly. And I think I also told Chad and Kerri this in our group chat. The first time I saw Willow, instant crush.
Oh,
Man,
right. I wanted to, yeah, I wanted to get talk on this because you threw out Xander. And I'm so glad that you threw out Xander as a character that you love because I know he's not beloved by every single Buffy fan. You know, some people have problems with him. He's one of my favorites too. Because when I was first watching the show, I was in middle school. So he was somebody that I looked up to and wanted to be when I got to high school. So that's my frame of mind for where I really fell in love with Xander's character. And I know that he's very childish at the start a lot of the times, but he actually goes on to grow as a character a lot more. And I'm very excited for you to see later Xander too. But also, I love Willow so much. She's adorable, and she's
yeah,
also very,
House of
very
Mannequin,
hot
amazing.
in her own way. And I can't wait for you to see her progression too. So
Yeah, the one thing that I will say is Xander has its moments of being childish, but we all had those moments when we were younger, especially surrounded by friends and things
yeah,
like that. There was one moment that I was like, I don't know if I like that with Xander, and that
yeah,
was when Buffy rejects him to the dance, and the
yeah.
way that he handles it. I'm just like, that probably wasn't the best way to handle that situation.
There's a lot of like parts like that with Xander that he ends up being the childish guy that's, I don't want to use the word problematic. People use that word all the time. I don't think he's
Yeah.
problematic at all. I think he's a character that is he's just a guy that just doesn't know how to operate. And I feel like because of his, you'll learn later about like his home situation and things like that.
Mhm.
It just he doesn't have like that role model to teach him how to respect, girls around him and learn how to deal with rejection and stuff like he just doesn't have that. And people don't think about
Yeah.
that, I feel like, and they just want to judge him like that's wrong. You shouldn't act like that. And it's like, well, somebody probably taught you that, and that's why you know that, but he
Yeah.
doesn't.
Yeah.
So, anyways,
Yeah. Again, like
I'll
I'm
defend
not like
Xander.
holding that against him. I'm just saying like
No, I
it's
wasn't like, yeah, I wasn't
the
telling you
way that,
that you're wrong for
yeah.
thinking that. He's definitely does act childish a lot of the times, but I think that's where you also get to see a lot of growth in Xander later on. He doesn't
Yeah.
start out as this perfect character that does everything right all the time, and
Mhm.
so I think that's right. So sometimes he's not the best friend, and then sometimes he's the best friend you could ever have. So um,
Yeah.
that uh, that's what I'd say.
All right. So are we ready to move on to the actual ranking, or you want to talk about it a little bit more before we go into it?
I don't know. Do you want to give like your thoughts about season one a little bit?
Our neighbor decided that this was the time to come over and introduce herself. And she gave
Oh,
us a cake and stuff. It was her birthday.
Oh,
all
So
right. We'll
sweet.
have to go over there and introduce
Yeah.
ourselves. You go ahead and talk about what you think about season one.
Okay. I'll do my brief thought. I mean, I love this season. It's such a classic. It's a great start to the show. It's like when you start the first episode, the first season, you're immediately immersed in the late 90s and such a fun
mhm.
throwback. I know, and I would say for anyone who's maybe having trouble getting into Buffy, you can, and you're watching the first season, you sit through the first few episodes, you're not into it. I'd say definitely actually try season 2 and then go back to season 1, and I guarantee you'll love it.
I think season one does help you introduce
Yeah.
it does a great job of introducing you to the vibe of the show, the characters of the show, and you can actually fall in love with the characters even if you don't love every single episode in the season.
Mhm.
But then yeah, it does pick up really, really great after season 2 when they have a little bit more money and they know this is going to be a continued thing. They start
Yeah.
stepping up the writing and everything with the show, and there's more like of a storyline that propels the show, and it gets very, very great in season
Yeah.
2.
The one thing that I love about the show, and it's actually the one thing that I love about Supernatural when I first started it is that it's really accessible because they don't really dive into big overarching storylines till towards the end of season one. But like early on, like seasons one, like probably episode one through like seven, you get more like freak of the week, where it's like, oh, it's someone else who has a different power, and now they have to figure out a way to do it, which I love.
I love how you said freak of the week because it's normally coined as monster of the week, but freak of the week has
That's like a little catchy.
has a ring to
Freak
it.
of the week, I actually heard from a podcast I was watching about the Flash, because each episode is literally a freak of the week in that
Okay.
show. So I just kind of keep calling episodic just freak of the week
I
for
like
everybody.
that.
So.
Oh yeah. The monster of the week is like the actual type of show it is basically.
Mhm.
The monster of the week show. It's Buffy. It's ain't it?
Yeah, exactly. So I think I'm ready to start with the first tier ranking,
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
and I think I want to start with the one I want in the C level.
See.
Okay.
Okay. So this is our lowest level because while I even think we should eradicate the C because there's no C's, there's only S's. It's like, what do you think is C, Hunter?
So I was thinking about this, and while this is still a good episode, I feel like it does a character a disservice, and that is season one, episode 6, The Pack. And I will say that because, look, again, Xander's one of my favorite characters, and yes, he has his flaws, but to make him so unlikable in one episode, I understand why they did it. It just didn't feel like there was enough payoff to make him, this absolute jerk the whole episode, like the whole entire episode, and then just kind of be like, oh, he's back to normal, so we're supposed to like him. That kind of rubbed me the wrong way. If we had like an episode after with him dealing with it, kind of like we did at the end of season one with Buffy going into season two, episode one, how they dealt with that, maybe I would have been okay with it. But just kind of like making him so unlikable and then just kind of forgetting that happened is why I put this at the C level.
So, do you mind if I go next?
No, go ahead.
So with the pack, like you actually reminded me of something. Is like this is actually kind of important to Xander's character, and I can't go into too much specifics because I don't want to spoil anything. But Xander's kind of the character who is he's like the heart of the gang, but like basically he is the guy who will take things to the grave. He will keep your secrets for you, and he'll keep secrets from you if you're not ready to hear them. And that goes to like a later episode that's like one of my all-time favorite episodes. It's a big Xander episode.
Mhm.
And Kerri probably knows what I'm talking
I
about
know
right now.
exactly
Exactly.
what
Yeah.
you're talking
So,
about.
but this is kind of a thing. So it happens with, so it's more spoilers for season one of Buffy. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. Check this out again. Because, basically, yeah, they make Xander a hyena in this episode. And along with some other bullies you don't care about, there's characters you really don't see again. But they make Xander this. And then at the very end of the episode, you find out that he acts like he doesn't remember any of the shit that he did, but Giles is like, you remember everything, is like, please kill me or whatever the line is. But he remembers everything and he basically takes it to the grave. But I can see how you might not like this episode as much as the rest because he does go for it in this episode. It's how he was
He
written
goes too
in the
far.
episode. And but honestly, I just want to say for this specific episode, there's a lot of episodes in shows like this where you have one of the main characters become the problem, become
Yeah.
different. And you're going to see a lot more of this in the show going forward where someone has something go wrong with them. Maybe it's a spell, maybe it's something different, and a hyena spell curse thing. And I mean, I really like the episode. I don't want to put it in C because I really probably not going to put anything in C. I'm going to vote for B for the pack.
Yeah, I think if there's an episode, if I'm gonna put an episode in the C tier, it would be a different episode in this season.
Mm.
Although
Okay.
I don't know, I'm a little torn because I do think this is probably my second least favorite episode of this season. Just I don't know. It's like it's a little. Some of the stuff that I kind of get what you're saying, Hunter. Where it just like from Xander's character development at this point in the series, it seems a little off. Some
I
of
can see
it's
that.
kind of corny with like I don't know, like their like eye stuff.
I
And,
will
like,
say the one thing that I absolutely hate is that they eat the pig.
yeah,
That's
Yeah.
the one thing that I hate just because as I've said before on the show, I believe I hate animal violence in any
Hmm.
form and stuff. And horror is a very big
Yeah, so
problem.
they eat the pig and then they eat the principal.
yeah.
That too.
Xander doesn't eat the principal. It's important to know.
It's important. He might eat a
Yeah,
pig.
he does it, but he eats the pig.
Oh, where to put this? I'm really torn.
Again, I don't hate this episode.
here.
I'm just saying,
Either.
like, if I had to put one in C, it would be this.
I think I'm good with C with this one because it was if there were two I would put in C, this would be one of them.
I mean, because at the end of the day, C is just going to reflect that we're going to rank it pretty lowly. But what we
Yeah.
could do is bust out our whiteboards a little bit later or something maybe, and just like actually like rank them.
Yeah.
If that's something that we think could be
Yeah.
fun. But all right,
Yeah,
so
exactly.
moving on. That's going in C because you both voted C, and I'm fine with that. So, Kerri, you're
All right,
next.
so that's the only one we can put in C, by the way. C and S.
That's
we
the
only get
lowest
one.
then.
That's the lowest. Yeah, C's the
Oh,
lowest.
I didn't know
Okay,
that.
if we're gonna have a bunch in A and B, one in C and one in A, does that change your vote, Kerri?
Yeah, that changes my vote to B.
Okay, so it's
Oh,
going in B.
Okay.
So
I can't jump from there.
I've just
yet.
got that. So Kerri, you're next with the ranking as
Okay.
on the screen.
Okay. Let's go on to what I think is a really solid episode. Maybe not S tier, but I think I'm going to put it in A tier. And that is Welcome to the Hellmouth, the first episode of the series.
Okay.
I think this
You
is.
said A tier?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think A tier. Because for a lot of reasons, but one, I think it's a solid episode. It's a solid opening to Buffy, what Buffy is. You're introduced to all the characters. It does. Oh my God. Scares me so old. Everything a pilot this isn't the pilot actually, but everything a first episode of a show should do, all while being exciting. You're left on a cliffhanger. So I don't know. And I think when you go back after rewatching the whole series, when you get back to this episode, it's just I don't know, all the good feelings that come back. For me, this is an A episode.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting because like this one, it's hard to separate this one specifically from the other one, the Harvest that somebody might bring up later, but because they're packaged kind of as like one episode a lot of the times when you have like two episodes that are split, but they're really like they're aired as one almost. But yeah, if you split this, I would definitely actually put this in. Agree, I would put this in A because it's just a really strong start. I mean, you have because in this one, you actually when you start, you have Darla, and played beautifully by Julie Benz, and then you have the guy, and this is where it sets the tone for the entire show because you see that like not everything is going to be how you thought it was before, and we're changing the game, we're changing it up. The girl is going to be the hero and everyone else is going to be kind of like on the sidelines. The girl's going to be the hero now, and you get to actually see this. And some girls can be like really great villains too, because you think that the guy's going to turn on the girl, and she's going to get bitten or killed, or you don't know what type of show this is when you're first starting it. And then like, no, it's the girl that kills him, and it's just brilliant and sets the tone perfectly for the show. I love that Kerri said, yeah, it ends on a great cliffhanger.
Mhm.
I think, it's a will our hero defeat the vampire? Find out next week, kind of a
On
deal.
Batman.
Yeah, on Buffy. And so like it's a really perfect kind of thing. You get like Willow. Willow's kind of the helpless, damsel in distress in this episode towards the end there. But you can see, there's a lot of stakes. You can see how vulnerable these characters can be, and just how vulnerable Buffy's friends are going to end up being, and how stronger their characters can be down the road because they start at such a lower kind of
Mm,
level about dealing with, see how powerful these vampires can actually be. And I think it sets the show up so well. So A for sure for me.
nice. Yeah, I definitely agree. Very strong opener. And yeah, I'd put it A also. It's with the first episode, that's what's gonna like determine if you watch the rest of the season or not. And for them to start like this, start kind of lower and then gradually build up the threats, super smart. So yeah, I definitely agree. So we'll put it in the A tier as well. All right,
Sweet.
Chad, it's on to you.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to go with my favorite just yet. Talk about some of the other ones, but I'm going to go with one that I think is phenomenal. And I'm going to go so Hunter went kind of in the middle of the run of the season. Kerri went to the very beginning. I'm going to go towards the end, but not the very end. I'm going to go with Nightmares, because I Nightmares isn't like the top of the top. Nightmares is one that people put up there as one of the better episodes of Buffy for sure, because Nightmares is just so fun. It's actually like a really, because Buffy doesn't always get scary, but Nightmares is actually pretty scary. And even like the characters in the episode have to face their own fears, because they actually have nightmares, and then the nightmares become real in this episode. That's like the hook. And you find out why later. It's like, some kid, and it actually gets really deep too, because you
Mhm.
find out that there's a kid who's being abused by his little league baseball coach. And that's really deep. So Buffy wasn't afraid to go real deep and kind of dark there, like a little child being abused. But basically, Buffy saves the day, but not without having to go through her own fears of, not, having a strong, father figure, just afraid of, like, becoming the thing that she fights. And then all the other characters have to face their own fears too. And it's just really kind of cool to character development to see, like, what these characters are afraid of. It just, shows you who they are, basically. And it's just a very creepy episode, because what do they call the man there? I keep forgetting what they call him.
Oh, I don't
You
remember.
watched it recently. Do you remember what they call the man?
The main villain of the season?
Yeah, the villain of
No.
of Nightmares. Anyways,
Oh,
they call him some sort of name. And anyways, yeah, it's a very creepy episode, but it's also very fun. And I think Nightmares is a very high A.
Ugly
Because
Man.
Ugly Man, yeah, that's right, the Ugly Man. Yeah, because as Hunter said, we're putting only one in C. We're only putting one in S. I would put this in S if there were multiples, but since there's only one S, I would put this at a very high A.
All right, so this is where we're gonna kind of differ for me, because
Okay.
Nightmares is my favorite episode of the season.
It
Oh,
is.
It
interesting.
is, and I think what it has to do is one, yeah, as you said, it's completely terrifying, but I love the hidden messages behind Nightmares, especially seeing what Buffy's worst nightmare is, her father telling her that she was the reason that their parents got divorced. And then you've got Giles. His biggest fear is pretty much failure when he sees Buffy in the graveyard, and he's like, I failed. Like that was my whole mission, and I couldn't protect her. Which is the complete opposite of what it is supposed to be. The Watcher, it's supposed to help the Slayer, but the Slayer is supposed to protect everybody. So the fact that he feels like a failure, that's huge. And then of course the stuff with the Billy and the Little League coach, and the reason why he's there, and then just but also has some funny moments too, like funny nightmares we all have, like Xander in his underwear, and then things like that. It was a really
The clown.
great episode.
Yeah.
The clown is fucking terrifying, man.
He like
But
this, and he goes and just punches the
he
shit.
punches the fuck out of him. But I love this episode. It's probably my favorite because of all those deeper messages of like, abuse and, trauma, and then having to deal with, you know, stuff in your past, especially again with that scene with Buffy and her dad is one of the best
Yes.
scenes in the season, in my opinion,
Yeah.
because you can really see, and it ties it into the end too, when her dad does come in and it's a normal day and he's so excited to see her, and you're like, oh, like that's why she's fighting so much.
Yeah.
It's because she feels like she was responsible for her parents' divorce. So I would
Exactly.
put this in the S tier because this is personally my favorite episode.
I love that, Hunter. I think that's great. A lot of people love this episode, and yeah, you hit it right on the nose about like saying that Buffy and her like father issues, her father figure issues, and like the kind of relationship between her and Giles is going to become really strong later on, and this is kind of like the beginning of it. So I love that you hit on that. Carrie, what are your thoughts on Nightmares?
Yeah, this is one of the best episodes for sure of this first season. I'm going to say A tier only because we can only put one in S tier,
Yeah.
and I do have one that I like, my favorite from the season, that I would prefer to put in S tier. But if we could put multiples, like Chad said, this would definitely go in
I
S tier.
guarantee you our S tier is going to be the same one.
I would
I'm pretty
be
damn sure.
really
Yeah.
shocked if it wasn't.
But that's okay because we're gonna make sure that Nightmares is very, very high up.
Yeah.
If we did like a whiteboard ranking or something like that, then it's probably gonna be like number 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would be. Yeah, for sure.
All right, so it's back to me, correct?
Yes.
All right, so I'm gonna go with another one of my favorite episodes, and that's season 1, episode 7, Angel.
Yeah.
One, I love the character of Angel. Especially since we see him in the first episode, so we know he's kind of shrouded in mystery. This is where we kind of learn more about who Angel is as a character. But I also love the chemistry between Angel and Buffy. I feel like they have really good on-screen chemistry, and that really drives the episode for me. And then just all the stuff about seeing him transform for the first time, and you kind of see what his face looks like when he's uncontrollable. Them trying to use Angel and kind of like manipulate him to fight Buffy, things like that. It's one of the how do I say this? It's a really solid episode, but I'm probably gonna put it around the B level. I feel like it's not quite A, but it's a really, really, really great episode.
So I want to say, I honestly, I love that you nominated this one because I think Angel is really up there. I forgot all about Angel, and that you're talking about it now, and I'm like, oh yeah, no, Angel might be my number 2, to be honest, because Angel is a stellar episode because Angel is a big character in the show, and you get a lot more great stuff with Angel in season 2. And this is the first time that you find out about him being a vampire. And I love that whole dynamic, and you get to see how all the characters react to that, because they're like, wait, what? Like a good vampire? What's going on? This is completely shatters everything we knew about the lore of
vampires bad, humans good.
We slay the vampires. And I also love the ending of this episode. This is the one right where they're dancing and the cross burns, or is that later? I think that's this episode.
I don't know. I don't remember.
That's this episode, I believe.
Okay.
I believe it is.
If it's in this season, it's in that. That's
What I'm
episode.
talking about is when Buffy and Angel dance, she has a cross around her neck.
Yeah,
And
and
so
it burns the.
it
Yeah.
burns Angel's skin, and you see just how like, attracted to her he is, that he would allow that to burn him just to be close to her. And I love
Yeah.
that so much. So what do you think, Carrie?
Yeah, I would put this in A tier.
Oh, A tier, yes,
Yeah,
definitely.
because I think this is definitely one of the best episodes of the season. You've already been introduced to Angel, but this is like the full introduction to his character, who
Mhm.
he is. So yeah, I would put, and he is such an important character to the world of Buffy.
Yes.
And just kind of, I don't know, it's always exciting to watch this episode and see the characters like discover he's a vampire for the first time, and then discover that he has a soul, like all these things that they haven't really encountered.
A vampire with a soul. What? Cool. So all right, well that's going in A because 1B and 2A. Carrie, do you have something else to nominate?
Yeah, I'm just gonna keep going in order.
Okay.
So I'll go with The Harvest, which is the second part of the season 1 opener. Man, I'm trying to think where to put this. I think this episode is so good, but
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the episode.
The Harvest.
The Harvest.
Oh, the
So
Harvest.
the second
Okay.
part of the season 1 opener.
Mhm.
I guess I'm gonna put this. I don't know where to put it. You know what? No, I'm gonna keep it I'm gonna try to get as many in A as I can. Because we don't have a limit on A and B, right?
No, we don't.
Okay, so I'll put this is an A episode for me. I think it's, it's part of Welcome to the Hellmouth. It's the second part of it. You see the conclusion of the events that started in the first episode. And I think it's a really solid conclusion. I think you don't expect one of the characters that you think could potentially be a main character, Jesse, turn into a vampire and die by the end of this episode. So I think that's like a cool little twist. This is the episode where the characters actually bond with each other.
Mhm.
They get introduced in Welcome to the Hellmouth, but the Harvest is where they all learn Buffy's secret, and they all actually help to try to stop this harvest from happening.
Yeah.
Chad?
Yeah. So the Harvest, like I said, you can't really it's hard to take the Harvest away from Welcome to Hellmouth. They're kind of one episode sometimes, but it's like a perfect conclusion to Welcome to the Hellmouth. We put Welcome to Hellmouth in the A tier unanimously, so I'm totally fine with this being an A. I think this is a great conclusion to Welcome to the Hellmouth. Like Carrie said, it continues to develop the characters. It does a lot of really good story stuff, even though it is the monster of the week is the ultimate villain of the entire season. And that's really cool. But also, like Carrie said, it shows the whole thing that Joss really loved to do is just to mess with people and mess with his audience and throw Jesse into the opening credits like he's gonna be a big character, and then
Was he in the opening credits?
I thought he was.
I don't think he is.
No, he wasn't.
Okay, so he's not like a named person in the credits, but he shows up.
But it's like guest starring
in the credits.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, this is one of the better examples of Joss Whedon doing that. As we get into it later season, we will see where he does it. I think it's horrible
we
and
won't
it's just mean.
Talk
and,
much about that, and
I'm getting angry
I'm
thinking
fine.
about it,
I'm
but-
fine with it. I think it's kind of hilarious, but we differ on that, I guess.
Yeah.
All right, so the Harvest is going in the A tier.
Yeah.
Grab that cat.
All right, so I believe
Yeah.
we're on.
Wait, are you fine with that?
Yeah, that's fine with me.
Did you have anything to
Alright, so
say
we're
about
on. I mean, I can't really add anything that you guys haven't already added. I mean, it's a great continuation, kind of a great 1-2 punch of an opening season. And as you said, you can't really watch this without watching The Harvest because
Mhm.
they feel like one long episode, which I love.
Absolutely.
All
Who's
right, so I
next?
believe we're on Chad.
We're on
Yep,
me.
yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Good, good. We're running out of things here. So I'll go ahead and I'll talk about one of the later episodes. It's actually the penultimate episode of the season. I'm going to talk about Out of Mind, Out of
Ooh.
Sight. This one's a really interesting one. I like this one because it's like it kind of has like one of these endings like you're like, whoa, okay, is that gonna like continue into something? And well, I won't spoil if it does or doesn't, but it's kind of a interesting ending with like the freaking like FBI or something coming. But yeah, this one is really cool because it explores the idea of someone feeling so isolated in like school or just like an institution where they're just so isolated around their peers that they start to fade away. And this girl, Marcy Ross, actually disappears and becomes
Yep.
invisible. She actually does stuff, but she kind of gets really hateful and vindictive because she wants to go and like make people who made her life miserable pay, because these people would go behind her back and just be really shitty to her. And especially Cordelia is very mean to her, and she hates Cordelia. And throughout the show, Cordelia, grows a lot, and you actually can really like her character. But from the start,
Mhm.
she is one of those classic, uh, you know, not ditzy, not
Mean Girl.
Mean Girl. There you go,
Mean
like
Girl.
Valley
Yeah.
Girl, which kind of
I
seemed like
will
what Buffy
say she has some
some.
lines this season that I laughed at.
Uh huh. What happened?
Um, I said she has a lot of lines in this season that I laugh at every time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like
Cordelia is very
talking about
funny.
her trauma, where it's like, you know, yeah, forget about her, my trauma.
Yeah.
Right? Yes. What about me?
What
That's the
about
whole thing.
me?
There's a lot of really great growth with Cordelia. I love her character. She's one of the favorites of, I think, Buffy fans everywhere because she's so great, and just such a sweet character. But yeah, so Marcy ends up wanting to basically change her face because she's like, that's the only thing that's important to you. And sorry. Anyways, yeah. So that's what happens, and you get to basically kind of understand where Marcy's coming from, understand her pain, but then know that she is not acting the way that she should, and is hurting people. And I love the way it ends. I love everything about this. I would still I would still put this in a very high B, I think. Unless Carrie disagrees, and then maybe I might
Well,
change.
you should just say what you mean, and then I'll say what I mean.
Put it in A. Fuck it.
Wow, okay, put an A.
Why not, right?
Okay. Carrie,
I
thoughts
would
on
also
this?
put this in A. This is like there's probably only like 3 or 4 episodes in this season I would put in B or C.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think this is such a clever episode. I think the concept of it is so clever. I think I don't know, just some of the things that show up in this episode, like um, the writing on the chalkboard and stuff that's
Mm-hmm.
left. I don't know. It's so creepy and
The look on the lockers in blood.
yeah, it's so cool. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know, just one of my favorites. And it is one where we kind of get to see more of Cordelia, which I think is a great thing.
All right, so yeah, I'm fine with putting that in A. The one thing I do love is how one little line at the very beginning of the show ties back into the end. When Giles just jokingly with Buff, and he's like, "Oh well, now you actually have to listen to somebody for once." And she literally has to listen, focus,
Yeah,
and then she's able to fight what she can't see. I love that. One tiny line at the very beginning can come back at the end of the show, or the end of
yeah,
the episode.
yeah.
All right, so I believe we're back to me, right?
Mhm.
What did you vote for
It's
that, Hunter?
okay.
A?
Yeah,
Cool.
A. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna go with one that is really fun. And I'll say this because I like the ending of this episode, and that's episode 9, The Puppet Show.
Okay.
I love this is a very fun episode. Just the whole idea of like Night of the Living Dummy, pretty much in Buffy from the old Goosebumps show, or
Hmm.
books, series of books. But you realize, oh no, he's actually a good guy. He's not the villain. And then it's just the whole like, what the fuck is going on? Like Buffy has the team with the puppet now, which is hilarious. It's a dude trapped in
Yeah.
the
There's actually
body of a
different.
puppet.
There's actually different puppet stuff later down the line.
Oh, that's yeah.
That's
Well, that's
different.
a whole
We'll talk
other
about it another
thing.
time. But yeah. I'm sorry. Were you done, Hunter?
Um, I'm I'm thinking about putting this in B though because it is a very high B because it is a fun episode. Doesn't really tie into anything. It's one of those just kind of fun episodes, I will say. Like,
Okay. Yeah. Did you want to go next, or you want me to?
Sure, I'll go next.
Okay.
I would put this one in A just because I think there are so many great. I kind of understand the overarching story. I think isn't actually my favorite, but there are so many like great moments in this episode. So many funny little moments. Like everything from Giles getting sucked into running this talent show, and he absolutely hates it. And then the end when Buffy and Xander and Will are trying to perform their play, and they're all just totally horrible. Will is terrified. Just some of the things
Xander just runs off.
episode. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would definitely agree with Kerri. So I'm gonna tell you, Hunter, if we're gonna keep doing this with like every season, we're probably gonna rank things very highly, unless there's just something that we agree with you that it wasn't well done or something like that.
Yeah.
We're probably gonna rank it like a step above what most people might.
Yeah. I mean,
Mhm.
it's also like, I definitely have my least favorite episodes of each season.
And that's going to be interesting to find that out.
Yeah.
For me too, sometimes. So I
Yeah.
was able to guess a couple of next seasons,
Yeah.
but my first guess was wrong. So, but yeah, for the puppet show, I absolutely love this too because you do get that really fun twist about the puppet actually being, a good guy. He's actually like a hunter of
Yeah.
monsters. And that's really
Mhm.
cool. And then you get like the fun, like, Xander stuff when he gets the puppet. Doesn't he go red rum with the puppet?
Red rum, yeah.
And so you get a
Or
lot
like,
of.
okay.
What were you gonna say? I thought you were gonna
The
interject.
joke
Sorry.
about the horny puppet, and it wasn't just the guy controlling him.
Yeah. Yep. No, he was
Wasn't
actual
that?
horny puppet. But yeah, this Hunter said it perfectly. This episode is very fun, and I love the twist. I love all of the stuff with the puppet, and then I in the actual show itself, and Principal Snyder being a jerk as normal.
Such a
And
dick.
yeah, he's not fun. And, well, he's fun sometimes, but we'll get there. But yeah, like my favorite part is exactly what Kerri said, and this is what I told you, Hunter. I was like, wait for the very end because that sequence where they're just doing their play and they're so bad, it's just really fun to see because you see just how great these actors actually are because to act like that
Mhm.
bad like on purpose I think is like in like a thing.
Gotta be hard.
Yeah, and it's just like really funny and I just love that's one of the biggest strengths of the show is just it's so funny. And so yeah, so I would
Mhm.
also put this in A.
All right. All right. So yeah, we have 6 episodes in A, 4 episodes, or 1,
You
5
put
episodes remaining. Sorry.
you put it in B, Hunter?
Yeah.
Okay.
But because you and Kerri agreed to put in
Yeah.
A, it's going
Yeah.
up in A.
I'm also just writing down what we voted for because it's fun.
Hey. All right, so the only episode we have in B is The Pact.
Correct. Yeah.
All right, so
Is it my
I believe
turn?
on Kerri.
Carrie.
Yeah,
Okay.
It's Kerri and you. Yeah.
And she's
Okay.
gonna go with episode 3,
I'm gonna go with episode 3. I think,
which is
which is Witch,
the
and I
witch, or it's just
it's
witch. You're right.
just
Yep.
Witch. I think besides the one I want to put in S tier, I think this is actually my last one I would nominate for A. This is, I don't know, this is like the classic Buffy episode. Like, I don't know. There's a problem. You know, this is like the classic monster of the week. A problem, they have to solve it. They solve it in a clever way. And this one kind of goes into kind of, X-Files territory where the ending is kind of like mysterious and isn't actually completely resolved. Like her mom is in that trophy. But I love this because I don't know. I think this is the first one after the 2 opening episodes. And we just kind of get to know the characters a little bit more. We get to know Buffy, and she likes cheerleading. She kind of wants to recapture that part of her old life. And there's some just hilarious moments. There's sweet moments in this episode.
Yeah.
So I don't know. This is definitely one of my favorites.
Yeah, this is the first episode that we get that's a true just monster of the week episode. But not just that, there's a lot of character stuff that you get. Like Hunter messaged me and said Giles called cheerleading a cult.
Cult.
And
Yeah, that's one of my favorite lines of that episode.
Perfect. Like there's so much great jokes in there, but also I love when the monster of the week episodes in this show are like S tier a lot of the times, just so great when they have like an extra added meaning to them and stuff. There's like a message, there's a point to it, and which does that perfectly because you get introduced to the character of Amy, who's a reoccurring character in the show, and you think that she is doing things to people and causing things to happen, like a cheerleader catching on fire. People think she's a witch, that she might be actually causing these bad things to happen,
Eliminating the competition
and stuff like exactly. And you actually there's a twist in this one as well where you find out that's actually her mother who took over her body because she was jealous that she was wasting her youth. She wasn't doing it right, and she just wanted to recapture her glory days and go back and actually be a star cheerleader again. Because that's what she missed, and she, is very toxic character. And I love that because it's a great villain that you can actually identify with, because we all have things that we might want to go back and have done differently or recapture some sort of like moment that we lived before and go like, wouldn't it be nice to just be younger and be able to do that again?
Oh, see, I think I don't know. I always identify with Amy, and it's kind of like it's a very common problem, I think, to have, your parents.
The soccer mom, or the pageant mom.
Exactly. Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying is like, I'm not saying I don't identify with Amy too.
Yeah.
I'm saying this episode has so many levels because it has a villain you can understand, but she's taking over her daughter's agency and ability to be her own person, young in her body. And it's just really weird and crazy, but like you can understand why she does it with her powers. And she's a really good villain, and she's very scary. There's a lot of stakes in there because especially when when she finds out that she knows that they're trying to stop her, you go, okay, this is scary to tell because she's coming. I love this episode so much. I would put it an A for sure.
Yeah, I'm definitely putting it in A as well. I love the idea that in every episode this season they deal with some sort of teenage problem or child problem when it comes to like in Nightmares talking about failure or divorce, but then this one dealing with how far will a mother go to one relive her youth, but also control her daughter in literally a, a literal way, like she
Yeah.
becomes her daughter. Um, but also it deals with like those pageant moms that we see that will really push their young children into stuff that maybe they don't want to do, but they're kind of forced to do it. Like Amy, you could tell she didn't really want to be a cheerleader, but her mom kind of literally forced her hand at this.
Yeah.
So I love episodes like that that can really, one, it's a really good freak of the week episode, but if you look a little deeper, you see more story behind it.
Yeah. And this is also the first episode that you get to see that Buffy is striving, her calling is to slay vampires and to protect the world from the forces of evil, whatever. But she also just wants to be a normal kid. And
Hmm.
being going into cheerleading is something that reflects that. And I feel like that's an important part of her character too. And that's where you get to see that. So awesome. So that
Yep,
one's going in A. And who's next?
I
You.
believe it's you.
I am. Okay. All right. Well, let's see what we're gonna go with. This is gonna be interesting to see where this goes. I'm gonna talk about. Well, hold on. There's three more, right?
There's one, two, four more.
All right. Well, then I'm gonna nominate I Robot Eugene. This one I can see where a lot of people probably don't adore this one. It is kind of weird, but I think in of its time, this one is where it really reflects how early the show came out in like the mid '90s, mid to late '90s, where the computer stuff is really old. You have, but it also introduces Jenny Calendar, who is a very good character in the show, and you get to see the dynamic between her, the people like Willow who really love computers, and then you get to see Giles, who's the stuffy old British librarian who's like, I just love the smell of books, and I just, what
He
are you
doesn't
in it?
understand technology.
Yeah, the technology, and so it's a fun episode in that way. I don't think the villain is like super super great or anything, but I do love that this is one that shows you how to be careful with like internet chat rooms and stuff like that. So it's a really good
Catfishing.
like, message for like kids and young people who were on the
Mhm.
internet in early days before you knew, don't put yourself out there too much with like chat rooms, especially if you can't see who you're talking to.
Yeah.
And I would put this in probably a high B.
All right, Carrie.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I agree with B for this one. It's not one of my favorites of the season for sure. I think it's a little bit weaker. Not even just because it's outdated, but I think it's also just I don't know. It's definitely like there are so many Monster of the Week episodes in Buffy, and so many of them are fantastic. This is one where it kind of feels a little bit like filler, because it's not super doing anything for the season. I guess Willow's character is developed a little bit, but I think she goes on to have more development in a lot of later episodes. So yeah, I would say B for this one.
Yeah, I agree. High B. Again, this kind of has the problem that I have with the pack, and it's kind of like they use Willow. I understand why they used Willow for this particular episode, but it kind of feels out of place for her to kind of be like, she's all in, she wants to be with Xander, and all of a sudden she doesn't care about him. She's got this new, boyfriend online. It just kind of felt jarring because the episode beforehand, she, everything was normal, and then boom, just kind of immediately changed it, and then immediately went back to it,
Yeah,
which is just kind of a weird sidetrack they decided to take.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Where would you put
So
this
yeah,
in?
so high B, high B.
Okay, cool. Our B it is.
All right,
Who's next?
Hunter.
back to
Right, Hunter.
me. All right, so I'm gonna go with.
Hello. With
I want to go. I'm gonna go with episode 4, Teacher's Pets.
okay.
Um, I don't know how I feel about this one.
All right.
That's the
Well,
thing.
pass to us then. It's like go ahead.
Because I like the idea of a teacher seducing Xander because that
You do?
it feels like not not like that, but it follows in Xander's character that we learned from episode 1 about
Mhm.
him kind of being like a child. You know what I mean? Like
Oh
he
yeah.
sees a beautiful woman and he's gonna go for it. It made sense for the character. But man, when we actually see the CG and the prosthetics at the end, oh, it's rough. It's it's
Yeah.
really rough. Um, I'd probably put this high B if I'm being completely fair, because there are a lot of good moments, but it's kind of hard to look past how bad the prosthetics were in this particular episode.
Yeah, I
Yep.
think I think Teacher's Pet sets up kind of like one thing that you get later, and it's kind of like with Xander being like a big victim or like monsters are attracted to him. It's kind of a
Mm,
theme that you get to see like a lot down the road, and this is kind of like the first time, like we get it with Willow later in the episode we just discussed, but like with this one, it's Xander's the damsel in distress. Because of like, he falls prey literally to this freaking giant bug, and I love like a lot of the stuff that you get leading up to it, and like Xander thinking that like people are jealous of him and stuff like that, and then he kind of gets his just desserts later when he's realizes he's wrong and like he shouldn't have been like hitting on a teacher because they might actually be a monster or out to get him. And so this episode's pretty fun. I wouldn't put it up there also with some of the better episodes. I agree with you, Hunter, a lot. And yeah, I mean, it shows you like the limited budget that they had to pull
yeah.
something like that off. They do way better down the road when they get more money. But I would also put this in B.
This is my C episode. So I would put this in C.
Oh
It's not
wow.
it's gonna go in B. This is, I think, my least
Interesting.
favorite of the season. I don't know. I think some of it's like the CGI, like you said, Hunter. Some of it's like, I don't know, just like the relationship, like not a relationship because there's not a relationship there, but like, the teacher preying on the students. It's kind of like creepy, and I totally get why they do it. I don't think this would maybe be, if Buffy were like revamped today, I don't think this is a concept they would keep.
Yeah.
And I do think it is very dated for the 90s.
Yeah.
So I don't know. And it's just one that, there are other like Xander love interest goes wrong episodes that I like more than this. I think this is probably like the worst example of it.
I'm gonna go ahead and actually second Kerri. And if we have to throw one into
Yeah.
C,
Yeah, I was about to do that as well.
into C. So yeah, we can all throw this one into C, throw this one under the bus, and
Yeah.
move on. I agree. So it's a weaker episode, but it's still an episode of Buffy. I love it. So.
Yeah, I know. And
Yeah.
there are moments like her science, but the Buffy's relationship with the original science teacher who gets killed is so sweet. Like that's a sweet moment.
Oh my god! And you actually feel so much for her because she has kind of like somebody who cares for her, who's like, I'm gonna like not even care about your past. It's all about your future and what you can do in your future.
Yeah.
It's great messaging in there, and you get such a heart wrench when that teacher dies and stuff. So Cordelia owns the body, but yeah.
Which it seems like that's a running joke. Like she always finds the bodies. It seems like 2 in the locker, 1 in the classroom.
All right.
All right. So I believe it's on Chad, correct? No.
No, it's on me, I think,
What?
because you nominated
Yeah,
teachers.
yeah. 'Cause mine was Teacher's Pet.
We have
Yeah,
two
it's
more.
on you, Kerri.
No more. So I'm gonna say I'll leave one for last for Chad. I'll say Never Kill a Boy on the First Date.
Okay.
For me, this is a solid B. Half the time, I honestly like, and I've seen every episode of Buffy like a lot, and this one I like struggle. I know it's like, Buffy goes on a date with Owen, and it's all going wrong because she has to stop. I think it's the anointed one or something from getting anointed or captured by the master's people. And it has some good moments in it. I think this is where the iconic if the apocalypse comes,
Beat me.
line.
Yeah.
And that might not be right.
me.
It might be in a different episode. I thought it was this one. It might not be. This has some good moments, but I also think it's definitely one of the weaker episodes. There's not actually a ton of plot to this one, I think. It's mostly like, Buffy's, trying to be normal, trying to go on a date. I think other episodes in the series capture that a lot better. This is kind of like it's all revolving around the boy. I think the stronger versions of that are where it's kind of more around she just wants to live a normal life for herself.
Yeah. And also, Owen is a fucking moron.
Well,
Just talk about that for a second.
I don't disagree with Kerri here. I think I would put this also probably in a high B. I think there is some good stuff with this episode, actually, but I wouldn't also say that it's like one of the best episodes of the season or anything. Especially not up there with others we put in A. So I'd put it in a high B. I do like the fact that Buffy's trying again. She tried cheerleading, now she's trying dating, and we get to see her actually dating but trying to keep this a secret and juggling her normal life with her Slayer life, and she's trying to keep it a secret, and almost to his detriment. Like he almost dies because of her trying to keep a secret. If he knew everything, then he could be cautious like everyone else is most of the time, and stuff like that. But yeah, we do get a really cool like bait and switch because they all think the anointed one is this big dude, and no, it's a little kid. And it's really kind of interesting that happens. That sets it up for later down the road that you have this kid now who's like a big deal. And I also love that she and Owen connect about like Emily Dickinson, and it's just really kind of sweet. But I would put it in high B.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Yeah, I can't really add anything else that you guys already haven't said. It's a very solid episode. I like episodes where she has the balance, being a Slayer and being a teenage girl. But I mean, Owen was kind of an idiot to follow her into the cemetery. I'm just like, why would you do that? Like, come on, man.
It was cool. He's like, hey, you like to party in cemeteries? Me too. I like to read Dickinson and party in cemeteries.
But also, there is a very funny line when Giles comes to her house, and Owen is like, "Man, you really love books, huh?" The librarian's at her house.
Yeah.
All right, so I believe it just leaves one episode. Chad?
Yeah. I'll bring up the episode that I believe is going to be the S tier of our list here. Prophecy Girl. This is the final episode written and directed by Joss Whedon. It's the only one that was this season, right? Yeah. And it's such a banger of an episode because everything leads up to it. You have the master trying to confront, Buffy, kill the Slayer, take over, and he finally does for a while. And actually, Buffy dies in this episode, and you get this whole dynamic where they are leading up to this. They find the prophecy girl, and that's Buffy. There's a prophecy that he will kill the Slayer. He will rise up. He'll kill the Slayer. And then what is it? The stars will bleed or whatever. Or sky will bleed, something like that. And or the stars themselves will hide. And so the master rises up, kills Buffy. And you kind of see this. There's a parallel between like Buffy and Harry Potter where if she didn't go, he couldn't leave. And yet, because she found the prophecy, that it's interesting that Harry Potter and Buffy came out, like, started around the same time with
Yeah.
this, and
Yeah.
then it ends kind of like how Buffy does in season 1, where it's like, if she didn't go, he couldn't leave. She found out the prophecy, she fulfilled the prophecy. But she never
Mhm.
found out about it. There's no prophecy. But yeah, it's a brilliant episode. I think it's brilliantly written because you get to see this has one of the deepest moments in the entire show. And it's in the first season at the very end where you get Buffy just basically saying, like, Sarah Michelle Gellar is one of the greatest actresses. It's just perfect for this role. Where she gets to say, like, I'm just a girl. I don't want to die. And then just the way
Yeah, she's like, I'm 16. I don't want to die.
yeah, and she's sitting there in her damn what is it, homecoming dress? Or
Yeah,
homecoming.
Yeah.
It's not prom.
Yeah, so she's in her homecoming dress, and she's sitting there all beautiful, but she's crying because now she knows she's gonna die, and that's the life of a Slayer, is that they're kind of born to do their job and die. And Buffy, she kind of thwarts that idea though at the end, because Buffy is a great character on her own, but one of the best things about Buffy is that she often relies on help from her friends. And then this is where Angel and Xander come into play. And Xander saves the day because Angel has no breath. Xander has to save Buffy literally and saves her life, and then she defeats the Master, and it's just a beautiful episode. And I love the stuff between her and her mother Joyce. And there's just a lot of great moments. I'll let Kerri go on and talk now because I know she loves this episode.
Yeah, this episode is incredible. I think the best moment, like you said, Chad, is that moment where Buffy standing there in her dress crying, and she doesn't want to die. And I think Chad and I both started watching this show when we were younger than the characters that were being portrayed. We were in elementary and middle school when we started watching it. And I think that it hit, I don't think it hits as hard when you're younger and you're seeing someone older than you say something like that. Now that I'm 30 and you're seeing a 16-year-old character saying they don't want to die, it hits home even more, I think.
Yeah. The show grows with you a lot of the times. You watch it differently.
Very true. And there are so many other great moments in this episode, like just the slaughter, and that Willow discovers it, and Buffy comforts her, and that's why Buffy ultimately goes, is because she knows if she doesn't, then other people are going to keep dying, and she's the only one that can stop it.
And you get that great line from
TV.
her. Yeah, you get that great line from her where Willow's like, this place was ours, like this was ours, and they came and they invaded it and made it something else.
Yeah.
Such great writing, man. I mean, I don't know what to tell you.
And then this also has some of the most badass moments when Buffy comes back from the dead, and she's like, I may be dead, but I'm still pretty.
She said,
I'm so pretty.
Remember?
Yeah.
Give me 1 second.
There's a lot of other great lines.
Yeah.
That's one of the best things, is the show is so quippy, and Joss loves to make up not kind of mannerisms, but like speech isms. There's like something coined as like Whedon speak, where he'll have the characters say phrases and stuff that really haven't really been said, and it's just different ways of characters talking, and that comes into play later in the show, and it just adds to the quality of the show, where you love watching the show because the characters are so unique. They talk in unique ways, and it's just unlike any other show. Even other shows with the same format, I think Buffy stands tall and above all the rest, and Prophecy Girl is one of the best examples of that.
I definitely agree. The one thing I love about this episode is that it has some of the darkest moments of the season, but it also has moments of comedy. One of my favorite bad back and forth is with Xander and Angel when they're going down to the lair, and Xander's like, "You're looking at my neck." He's like, "No, I'm not looking at your neck." He's like, "Dude, keep your distance."
Yeah, that's one of the big things about the show too. Is like there's a kind of a rivalry headbutting with Xander and Angel a lot during the show, and it's an interesting dynamic they have. It'll be interesting to talk about that, especially in season 2. I think. Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, definitely. But again, there were a lot of great deep moments in this episode, as you guys brought up. Xander being the one to save Buffy was great. But then Buffy saying, "I quit. I don't want to die at 16," and she just she throws down the cross on the floor. Really great stuff. Really good action. The only nitpick I have in this episode, and I've mentioned this in the chat, is I feel like the Master kind of went out way too fast. I kind of wish they kind of expanded this from episode 11 and 12. That way we got a two-parter, and then we get to see, like, maybe the Master takes over for a little while and Buffy has to come back and help it, and we get a full, like, apocalyptic fight at the end with Buffy saving the day. But for what they did for one episode, they did a lot. I just kind of wish we got a little bit more with the Master on the surface, on Earth. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think we could probably say, like, it's when we go on and we see, like, all of because one of the other things that Buffy did great is it kind of coined this term, or at least popularized the term, but I think it actually coined and created this term of big bad that you hear people talk about in popular culture. Buffy made that a thing where it's the big bad of the season, and people talk about that with so many other shows and stuff where they go, or even movies, they're like, Thanos is the big bad, and that's a Buffy thing. And so I think that's another great thing about the show. But yeah, I agree. When we go down the road, if you keep watching Hunter and we still talk about a lot of these seasons, we can actually get to the end and start ranking the villains, ranking the seasons.
Oh, I would love that. Yeah.
The Master might end up being kind of low on your end, and I think that's kind of accurate. I feel like a lot of people rank the Master a little bit lower because he's only in like a 12 kind of season arc, and he doesn't really
in much of it.
Yeah, he's not in much of it. Much more, he shows up.
I'd be kind of interested,
but he's not.
so
He's not.
I'm kind of intrigued as to what would happen if the Master was maybe the villain of season 2 when they came to, like, 22 episodes instead of 12. I wonder if that would have gave him more time to develop. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, they could have probably.
His character is awesome. I love the way he looks. I love the way he talks too. He talks really menacing and kind of like has that condescending voice when he's talking to people, which I love. We just didn't get a lot of him, and I wanted to see a lot of him, like,
the Master,
with him on the surface, which would have been great.
Yeah, there's a lot of great moments with the Master. He, I would say he's kind of like a Guardians of the Galaxy Ronin kind of character. Not one that's great, but has his moments. And I would probably say the Master is better than Ronin. But if I had to put that in, like, compare Buffy to the MCU, I would kind of rank the Master a little bit lower. He's not a Loki. He's not a, Killmonger, but he's fun for his character. But I'm so excited, Hunter, now that we're kind of wrapping up a little bit, for you to end up watching the rest of the show, but especially season 2, because season 2 is a very high ranked season for a lot of people, including us.
I can't wait.
Because there's a lot of great stuff, especially with, like, Buffy and Angel's relationship, her relationship with the rest of the characters, and there's just so many great Monster of the Week episodes, and there's a great, like, overarching story within it as well that we adore. And I just wanted to say, I know that you wanted to keep this to, like, one S tier, but we have so many in season 2, we're not going to be able to, like, keep it at one S tier.
That's fine.
in 3 or 4.
We'll let you know, but we'll might have to change up the formula a little bit if that's okay.
Yeah.
We
'cause
could do
there's
more B
so-
tier to accommodate as well. I
yeah,
think,
there's
for that.
so
Yeah,
many
yeah.
great, and then we can maybe rank all the episodes at some point. That might be kind of
Oh
fun
my
or
God, that'd be
daunting.
intense. Yeah,
That'd be
I
intense,
kind of
but-
like.
That'd
we
be like
take-
a 3-hour show.
yeah,
Hell yeah, let's
it
do
would
it.
be longer than we've done. Like what, an hour and a half on the 12 episode season?
Yeah. But I will say on this final episode, one of my favorite like another one of my favorite parts is Giles gets a really big character development here. Because at one point he chooses to fight the Master over Buffy to allow
yeah.
Buffy to have a normal life. And Buffy just knocks the fuck out of
And that's so good to show the progression of Buffy and Giles' relationship, and that's going to come into play later too. Giles is he's more than meets the eye.
Yeah.
Not just the stuffy British guy. He will jump in there and defend his people when necessary. And Giles is one of the best characters. He's so great. So, but I'm glad you love the show, Hunter. I'm excited.
I love it.
You.
Yeah, I'm hooked. So yeah, we're definitely going to do more rankings of this after I finish each season. After I finish each season, maybe we can hop in and do another ranking.
Well,
but
before we close it out, I would like to maybe do a slight ranking of this because right now we know that Prophecy Girl, which is the 12th episode, is going to be number 1. And we know that Teacher's Pet is going to be number 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Teacher's Pet. So, like, I'm trying to figure out where the rest would go because we have.
I put 2 Nightmares.
2 Nightmares. I would probably actually put 2 Angel. What would you put at 2?
Oh my God!
Ooh.
Ask me.
I'm forcing you. Do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. Do it.
I think Nightmares, just because it has a bit of a. Oh my God!
Okay.
Sorry, I'm hiccuping really bad.
That's okay. Kerri puts.
And then Angel can be number 3.
What, Hunter?
Angel can be number 3.
Yes, we're all in agreement then. All right, we get Angel number 3. We're gonna put automatically iRobot Eugene at 11 because that was the only B. Or no, wait, the pack is also B. So iRobot and the pack, I would put the pack over iRobot. I would put the pack in 10.
See, I disagree. I'd put pack at 11, iRobot at.
Okay, all right. So we'll put the pack at 11, and iRobot Eugene at
where did we put
10.
You missed Never Kill a Boy on the First Date. Where did we put that?
Oh crap! I think that was a B, right? Hunter, was Never Kill a Boy on the First Date a B?
Yes.
I think we probably all put it in B. So yeah, so that one's gonna also be in B. Wait, is Never Kill a Boy on the First Date above iRobot or below iRobot? I'd put it above.
I don't have them. I just put them in there. I didn't really rank them.
No, but where would you put Never Kill a Boy on the First Date? Above iRobot Eugene? Or below?
I probably put it below.
Below? What about you? I like it more than iRobot.
I would say below, actually.
Okay, all right. So then we're gonna put Never Kill a Boy on the First Date at 10, and iRobot, not the movie, at 10, right? No, 10. 9. Okay, so now 4. What would we put at 4?
I put Witch at number 4.
I would put Witch at number 4. That's a great. You're right on the money, Hunter. Witch at number 4. Okay, what about 5? We got 4 more. 4 more. What is 5? Out of Mind, Out of Sight. Maybe?
I put the Puppet Show.
Show.
It's in the middle. It's a great episode with great comedy moments. But
Welcome to Hellmouth.
I would probably put Welcome to Hellmouth.
Welcome to Hellmouth.
Yeah. Okay.
That may be the Puppet Show.
Okay, Welcome to Hellmouth is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you think Puppet Show for 6 with Hunter? All right, then that's fine. The Puppet Show.
And then maybe The Harvest, or do
Harvest.
you want Out of Mind, Out of Sight?
I'm fine with Harvest and then Out of Mind, Out of Sight. Is that cool?
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
solid.
That's a
Harvest
solid list.
Out of Mind. All right, so from two seniored Buffy fans, we've been watching this shit for decades now. And one new person who's only seen the first season. I'm so excited for Hunter. We ranked all the episodes of Buffy season 1, and we have at number 12, Teacher's Pet, at number 11, The Pack, at number 10, Never Kill a Boy on the First Date, at number 9, I, Robot You, Jane, at number 8, Out of Mind, Out of Sight, out at number 7, The Harvest, at number 6, The Puppet Show, at number 5, Welcome to the Hellmouth, at number 4, Witch, at number 3, Angel, at number 2, Nightmares, and the best episode of season 1 is Prophecy Girl.
I like that.
Stellar ranking. Hell yeah.
Stellar ranking. All right, so I promised you guys I wouldn't keep you over an hour. We're in an hour 30 minutes.
We kept you over an hour.
Yeah.
But,
We had a lot of fun.
Dude, this was so much fun. I cannot wait to finish season 2. That way we can come in and rank it because, I mean, if you guys say that season 2 is high up, I'm going to very much enjoy this.
Yeah. I'm excited for you, man.
And
all right, guys. So the Oscars, I believe, just started or it's been on for a little bit. So I'm not going to keep you guys anymore. If you guys did enjoy this, hit the like button, subscribe to the Nerd Entertainment Network down below. If you guys watch it, see you guys soon.